And summer's for SeaWorld and for swimming, and also for little kids, it's the time for Safety Town, the program that teaches youngsters how to watch out for traffic and other dangers of the grown-up world. Safety Town programs will go on in most communities in Greater Cleveland this summer, and today the teenage volunteers who help out with Safety Town had a training session at SeaWorld. A fun way to start off the important work they're going to be doing this summer.
Hi, I'm Rob Bosen. I'm your host this evening on North Coast Alive. This evening we're going to be taking a look at a subject that's very close to all of us, and it deals with our future generation, children. So if you've got some children at home, or if you know of somebody that does, stay tuned and see what we have to offer for you. Each week we take a look at different problems in the environment for you, the audience, so that we can also present to you a viable solution to those problems. Well, this week we have a very viable solution to the problem of how do you treat children when it comes to safety? How do you educate them? How do you get them to understand what it is to cross the street with safety, or what poison is and what poison isn't? And how do you do this and maintain some semblance of having a family and friendship? Well, we've got a guest this evening that has done this for many years. I'm not going to say how many years because I don't want to give away her young age. Her name is Dorothy Shalad. I'm so glad you could be here this evening.
Thank you for having me, Rob.
I shouldn't say be here. I'm actually at your location, aren't I?
Yes, you're at our national headquarters, international headquarters, I should say.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, this is Beechwood, Ohio.
This is Beechwood, Ohio, and this is the home of National Safety Town Center, which is international in scope because our program now is in the United States and 18 other countries, and we're so excited about that.
Oh, that's great. I mentioned to the audience at the beginning of the show that what we're going to talk about this evening is the problem that exists in the environment, which would be a child grows up. As he's growing up, he needs to learn the aspect of safety, but yet you don't want to do it where, no, you can't do that, no, you can't do that. That's not the way that you approach it, is it?
No, Rob, no, you're absolutely right, and I was so pleased with your lead-in comments because one of the things that we stress is to teach properly and effectively. That's our major concern, and we want to do it as early as possible, and that's why we developed the preschool. Now, many parents, if I could just take a minute to tell you people, many parents feel that they want to tell their children, don't run into the street,
right,
and don't do this, and make sure that you always walk and
right,
never run. We believe in teaching realistically. Now, I don't want your audience to feel that we're telling children, run across the street. We're not saying that. What we're saying is that because of the muscular development of children, because of the normal development, children are going to run, they are going to skip, they are going to hop, they are going to do these things. Our concern is making sure that we teach them properly so that they stop at the curb or at the edge, no matter what they're doing on the sidewalk or in the yard. If we continue to tell them never to walk, never to run, and never to skip, and if we say, if you run across the street, you're going to get hit by a car, and they run across the street all the time, and they make it successfully. We continue to do this through the years, and they really don't believe what we tell them.
Right.
So we have to be honest with children.
Well, yeah, it's the old adage, you can't cry wolf too many times.
Absolutely.
A child's very
Absolutely.
intelligent, and they can pick that up right away, can't they?
Absolutely.
Wow. I thought we could get right into panning down here with the camera and showing the audience what we have, and most times we have a coffee table. Well, here, since we're at the National Safety Town Center, this actually depicts pretty much what's going on.
This is a Safety Town coffee table.
Right. What we have here is little cars and the stop signs and the lights. Now, could you kind of explain this to me? We went out to this today and shot some remote shots at Bedford Safety Town,
Right.
correct?
That's right.
And how does it work? What actually goes on at the Safety Town?
Okay, first of all, Rob, the children attend for 20 hours. They attend 2 hours a day for 2 weeks. Now, the majority of the time is really spent at the outdoor facilities, and this is what the public is aware of. This is why when we say Safety Town, a lot of people say, oh, that's where the children learn how to drive cars. And in essence, it is in a way, because what we're teaching them, and we don't call them motorists and pedestrians, because that's very difficult for a 4- and 5-year-old to
Right.
say. So we use the terminology drivers and walkers. We have some of the children use the little cars and driving, and while they are driving, they have to be aware of the walkers. Because when they're in the car, they're role-playing the model of mom and dad, and they're informed about this before they get into the cars. And what we're also doing, many of these children are 5 and 6, and many of them have bicycles, and many live in an area where there are no sidewalks, and they must ride in the street. So we're getting them ready, prepared really for the concept of riding on the right side of the road, which is what they must do.
Right.
As they're walkers, we stress the importance of that they have to, on their own, start watching for the cars. That car's not going to always see them. They have to look in the eyes of the driver when it's parked to make sure the driver sees them. And it's their responsibility to stop their feet and watch the cars. That's why the walker-driver situation is so important. But there are so many other aspects of the program. The children have an excellent opportunity to meet the police officer, because the whole motto in the program is a police officer's your friend and he helps people. They get to sit inside the police car.
Yeah, that's got to be a real thrill for kids, isn't it?
They love when the sirens go on and the lights go on, and all police officers in every community that we have at Safety Town take time to show the children the back of the police car so they know that there's first aid equipment and how a police officer helps people. Again, you know, a lot of our children are raised with the idea that police officers hurt children, not hurt children, but police officers hurt people sometimes when they have to handcuff them and put them in jail and so forth. So they have this bad image in some areas, and we want to point out and stress that policemen are your friends and they do help people. That's one important part of the program.
Right.
Another important part of the program is that we talk to children about strangers, what to do if they're confronted with a stranger. A very major part of the program also is bus safety. All these children will be, even if they're not bused to school, they will board a bus someday. We teach them how to line up properly, how to board the bus. Those steps are very big and their legs are tiny.
Oh, so that's what the bus was doing there this afternoon.
Right,
then.
showing them how to board the bus properly once they're on the bus, how to sit properly, how to use an inside voice on the bus, and to be the bus driver's helpers. All these things are rolled into bus safety information. We then have, to break up the outdoor activity, we have indoor activities, which consist of color sheets that relate to safety. We have a Safety Town game, which is similar to a Monopoly game, and the children can play this with their teenage instructors. And the teenage instructors, by the way, are playing an extremely important role in the program because they work on a one-on-one situation with the children. They work with them in crossing the traffic light, which is very, very difficult for children this age. And we really don't expect the children at age 4, 5, or 6 to understand the traffic light procedures. What we're really doing is just introducing the traffic light to them. The colors, red's at the top, yellow's in the center, and green. And Rob, if I can just take 1 minute and give the definition of Safety Town, because that's so important to us.
Sure.
Safety Town is a program that introduces, and I'd love to put that word in big capital letters, introduces safety awareness and preventive procedures. And that's all we want to do. We don't want parents leaving with their children on the last day on graduation day and feeling that, oh, my child has attended Safety Town. I don't have to worry about them crossing the street anymore. And we have heard this. We have 74 coordinators throughout the country, and many of them attend their Safety Town graduation day. And a few years ago, we started getting this feedback, and it was of tremendous concern to us. And this is why we are now stressing, and all of our coordinators of the local programs stress on graduation day, parents, this is just an introduction. Please don't expect your child to be able to cross the street properly, because we try to really compare it to math, English, or any other subject. When your child first enters nursery school, you learn the numerals. And as a child progresses in development, addition and subtraction, etc. The same thing has to be applied to safety. All we're doing is introducing, as that child develops with muscular development, eye-hand coordination, all the developments, then we can start introducing additional safety.
If you introduce it, that allows also the child to grow with the aspect of it also, and you're not jamming it down their throat. They can learn. I was thinking before when you said that the child with the light, that they may not necessarily understand all of it, although that it'd be great if they do too. I'm sure some kids do.
Oh yes,
understand what's
oh
going
yes,
on.
oh yes. What we want to get across though is that not every child achieves at
Right. But they get
every level.
something out of
Oh,
it, which
yes,
is going to be
yes.
towards safety and, of course, towards their survival.
Our concern with that, Rob, is that we don't want the parents leaving the program assuming that every child
Right.
there knows how to cross the traffic. When you stop, let's take, for example, an intersection, okay, that has maybe several overhanging
Right.
lights. There's maybe a sign up there that says right turn on red between 4 to 6 p.m.,
Yeah, school
okay,
days
and then there's an
only.
arrow, and it's just a very
Sure.
confusing situation that the children, many children at that age don't have all the decision-making processes to make
Right.
those decisions. And that's, now, if you're in an area where you don't have all that, and the parents take time with their children, certainly they can do it.
Certainly.
But I don't want them at the corner of Chagrin and Richmond, you know, with all this traffic
Well,
doing these types of things.
I think that actually, when you get right down to it, there's some adults that can get on some busy corners that can almost be overwhelmed by
Yes,
all the traffic.
that has
so, I
been
mean, you
proven.
can imagine a 3-year-old child, that it could be pretty tough for them unless they ever educated to some extent
Absolutely
or know what
right.
to do. One thing I was wondering is that you mentioned this is the national headquarters. How has this grown? What did we start with? From what I understand, you were very instrumental in getting this thing going.
Well, in 1965, when we introduced the total concept,
Mm-hmm.
and prior to that we had a traffic program for a few years, in 1965 we had 10 safety towns around the country, and we now have 650 plus.
Wow.
And it's really been all done on a volunteer basis with just fantastic people around the country. And I have to give a special credit to Bill Cosby, who serves as our honorary chairman,
Oh.
and he's been with us since 1976, and he's just been fantastic in assisting us in helping and promote it.
Having a celebrity like that as not an advisor, but it's such a help from the viewpoint of public relations for your group.
Oh, absolutely.
And he's so good with children.
Well,
with
I
the
was going to
pudding
say
commercials
he
and everything like
identifies
that.
with every group,
Oh,
the
yeah.
children, the teenagers, the parents.
That's
Plus,
that's a
he
good
has
point.
his doctorate's degree in education.
Oh, I didn't
So
know that.
it works, and we were just delighted. We couldn't have picked a more perfect person, and we're delighted he's part of us.
That's great. How many people are involved with the group overall then?
With the National Safe Town Center.
With the
Okay,
center.
we have approximately 20 to 25 volunteers throughout the year here in the center.
Mhm.
And as I said, throughout the country, we have 74 coordinators. We only have one paid staff person who is our secretary,
Oh.
and her salary is donated by the Prudential Insurance Company out of New Jersey. And again, when we started the organization in 1974,
Uh-huh.
they were behind us and have done an awful lot of in-house support. And we're now starting to get support from Cleveland, from Standard Oil and Ameritrust and Stouffer's, and we're hoping that a lot more corporations will start backing the organization. We had to prove what
Yeah,
we
that
were
you
doing.
had something
We
that
had to
was-
prove it.
Well, you wanted to prove you had a viable answer to the problem, right?
Absolutely. We had a problem that we were having a tremendously large fatality rate among children in all areas, and not only fatality but injury.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to do something to help solve that problem, and the only way is to provide proper education.
Makes sense to me. My co-host Pat Sabraco is going to interview a few of them in a few seconds here.
Excuse me.
What's their names?
Well, the two that you'll be interviewing is Gail Kolkar, and she is our public relations coordinator on a volunteer basis.
Uh-huh.
A recent graduate of Bowling Green University.
Oh.
She worked for us as an intern last year and is doing some fantastic work in interviewing the kids throughout Cuyahoga County and seeing what they think of Safety Town. We've interviewed governors and parents and police officers and firefighters, but we've not interviewed
What's
the
the
children.
main thing, though, right? That's
we
the
forgot
people
the
you're dealing with,
children.
right?
So Gail is doing that.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And the other gal is that we have with us tonight, and I wish we could have them all here with us, but the other gal is Debbie Flager, and this is a fantastically talented young lady. She has a theater musical background, and she's put together some fantastic records that we're going to be making available probably in late fall, early spring to our people.
Oh.
And she's going to be, you'll be talking with her later.
Oh, that's great.
Hi, I'm Pat Sprocco, and I'm your co-host here on North Coast Alive. As Rob Bosan mentioned earlier, I'm here with two volunteers from the National Safety Town, Gail Kolkar and Debbie Flager. How you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Thank you for being on the show. So, tell me, Gail, what is your position with National Safety Town?
I am the public relations coordinator, and right now I'm working on a project where I am visiting all 27 safety towns throughout Cuyahoga County, and I am interviewing the children and the teens to recognize their involvement in the community and to find out exactly what aspects of safety the children are learning and their reaction to this whole program.
Oh, well, how does that interview process work with the children?
I just pick a random day and I visit each safety town while it is in session, and I take photos of the children and of the fire department or wherever they are visiting, and I interview those people such as the policeman, the fire department, or the bus driver, whoever is involved.
Oh, well, that's very good. And then these are compiled for...
It will be compiled in a booklet, and there will be 2 booklets distributed per community, and there will also be booklets distributed to each teen who is involved.
Oh, that's very good. I also understand you're working on a project right now?
Right, it involves press clippings, and I am compiling them together in a book which will be distributed throughout the world, we hope, shortly.
Oh, that's great. And those press clippings are from newspapers from all over the country, too, right?
Yes, that's right. We are promoting that Safety Town is more than just traffic safety. These youngsters are learning different aspects of safety, including poison and fire prevention, and even what to do if a child is approached by a stranger.
Well, that's great. Yes, I even learned before the show that they even learned how to board a bus safely.
Oh, yes, that does entail a lot about safety.
So that's very good. That's very good. So, Debbie, what is your capacity with the National Safety Town?
I am a part-time volunteer, and I do just about anything that needs to be done, from organizing bulletin boards to plenty of typing.
Well, that's good. And I also understand you are involved with making some music or some jingles, or...
Lately, I have written some songs, safety songs, for National Safety Town. There are 18 of them.
Oh, wow, that's a lot.
And they all deal with a different aspect of safety.
Oh, well, can you give us some examples of the topics?
Animal safety, bicycle safety, swimming safety, medicine safety.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And so the verses then are about safety?
Yes, it's the same tune. That way the children won't have to learn different tunes. They can concentrate on the particular aspect of safety and what the song is teaching. Each song is a little less than a minute long.
Oh, that's great. And then you have 18 songs, and I understand that you have a cassette with 18.
On one side, each song is presented in an individual manner, and on the back side, each song is pieced together to make one long continuous safety song. And also, each song, or a lot of the songs, the children can act out.
Oh, that's great. Are you planning on having little plays with these songs?
Well, they could do that.
Possibility.
It's a possibility.
Oh, well, that's great. Well, how long have you been with the National Safety Town?
I've been with them about a half a year.
Well, I want to thank both of you ladies for being with us here tonight.
Oh, thank you for asking us.
And is there any final comments you'd like to make about the National Safety Town?
It's something that anybody can get involved with and put in as much or little time that they do have.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is very good. It's very good. Well, that's all with my 2 lady guests here tonight. Back to Rob.
How many children would be involved in a typical, this is a summer program?
Yes, it's primarily from, I would say mid-June to September 1st.
Right.
Now, in a few communities throughout the country, they do expand it and go into a K-3 follow-up program. But last year, throughout the United States, of our 650 programs, we had over 1,618,000 people involved. This was the children, their brothers and sisters, the parents involved, people within the organization, within the local organization, local community, the sponsoring organizations, whether they be the Kiwanians, Rotarians, JCs, Junior Women's League, and that doesn't even include all the media people that have been involved, and we've had tremendous media coverage.
What was that number again?
1,618,000 people. When we lived in an area in Bedford Heights where there were no sidewalks, and I just saw children playing in the streets and doing all types of hazardous endeavors, and I thought we have to teach children the proper way to do things, and that's how we developed the total safety aspect. One of the things that has helped us tremendously in promoting the program is our National Safety Town Week. Last year was our 9th annual National Safety Town Week, and we had 32 governors that issued proclamations around the country.
Wow.
And Mayor Voinovich issued us a proclamation. We received a very nice letter from Bill Bryant, President of the Growth Association. And these are the types of things that have helped promote the program.
That's fantastic. You know, Dorothy, we've had a couple of shows that have dealt with the individual being able to make an impact on the environment. Because sometimes in the everyday world that people get involved with and starting to read some of the news that's so not exactly uplifting a lot of times, I think some people sometimes get the viewpoint that they can't really change something. And I'd like to validate you that you're someone who has changed something in this regard to safety for children. I think that's really nice.
Thank you, Rob. I personally feel that every person in every one of our 650 programs, that person who served as our spark plug is an individual who made changes.
Right.
While I made some changes with the program and the concept, they are the people who really made the changes within the local
Right.
community. I could write anything on paper, but unless they believe in it, and unless they, as we tell them, they have to really believe in it, they have to be positive and enthusiastic. And they are the ones who made the changes on an individual basis.
Right.
So we're extremely proud of those people.
Oh, yeah. It does take a group to get that kind of an impact where you have over 1 million people involved. That's really good. I'm glad that we're here talking about it this evening.
We're delighted to have you here, Rob.
Well,
come
thanks.
visit us anytime. We'd love to have you.
Thank you. I thought we'd chat a few moments about the fact when you have these children, what age group are you looking at?
The curriculum as we prepared it is for children ages 4 to really about 4 to 5.
I see.
It can go on into 6-year-olds. But once you start going on beyond the 6, the vocabulary has to start increasing.
Right.
Right now we're at 1- and 2-word syllables for the children and making it as easy as possible. As I said, pedestrian and motorist is very difficult for some of the children to say. So we just simply make it driver and walker, which is a lot easier. However, we are looking, in fact, we've already increased the curriculum in going to K through 3 and also from a 4 through 6 follow-up.
Oh, that's great.
We have a new set of books that have just been published by Children's Press. It's the first of a series of about 10 books that are going to be published. The first 4 deal with strangers and matches and crossing the street and what to do in case of fire. In the fall, we will have a book on riding in the car properly and stop, look, and listen for trains and railroad crossings. And we're excited about this because we were approached by Children's Press in Chicago, and this is the first set of books that are geared for this age child to really read on their own, as well as mom and dad to read with the children.
Right.
So this is another extremely exciting event for us.
Yeah, and I saw a couple of the books before the show, or one of the books before the show, and I was very happy to see the fact that you had presented the fact of that fire is good, and it doesn't always have to be bad, and here's the reasons why it's bad.
Well,
and,
this
and
is
to
again,
educate the child fully on what you're dealing with instead of just, no, that's bad.
This is again going back to your realistic approach on how we can help change the environment. Fire does keeps a fireplace keeps us warm, and it does our cooking for us when we're outdoors and all sorts of things. But we have to inform the children that fire can be bad.
Yeah, where the danger part is, but then also where the good part is. I think that's excellent.
Rob, speaking of fire, if I may add just one quick thing here.
Sure.
Many parents, again, the myth that we've been raised with, many parents and many teachers and many firemen, and we love them all, but many of them still tell their children, if there's a fire in the house, the first thing to do is call the fire department. Please, parents, we urge you not to do that. The very first thing you do is have the children get out of the house. We're dealing with 4, 5, and 6-year-old children, even 7 years of age. Many of the phones are on the wall. They can't reach them. Even if they can reach them, they don't know the numerals. And some of them have eye reversal problems. They're confronted with all these problems. So we ask you, please, have the children go outside of the house, go next door to the neighbor,
And then make the call.
and then make the phone call. Please do not tell children to stay in the house and dial the phone. That fire isn't going to stop while they're making the phone call.
Good point. Dorothy, it seems like some people, I'm sure, have the viewpoint that Safety Town is something that is a little patch of asphalt behind the school where they send their children and they learn what stop signs are. And, of course, this is all good. But in talking to you, I've learned that there's a lot more to Safety Town.
There certainly is, and one of the important parts of our program is that we have a Clancy, and Clancy is to Safety Town what Ronald is to McDonald's.
Ah.
Clancy is a real person, and he is a police officer who performs magic tricks that are all safety related.
Uh-huh.
And he we utilize him through puzzles, through posters, coloring books, and materials that we have available at the center that are available to our local people.
When we were in your office, Dorothy, I noticed that you had a few awards on the wall. I mean, a few. I'd be impressed if I had that many on my wall. That's quite an accomplishment that you've had. In fact, the one being the Presidential Award. Can you explain that?
I'll be happy to. I was very, very honored to have received that. That was my most recent award. That happened in April, and there were 60 people around the country who were honored by President Reagan for volunteer work. And I was very honored to have been one of the 60 people, and it was presented at the City Club. Ken Kovach is the director of the CIVAC here in Cleveland, and I was equally surprised by receiving a very nice large bouquet of flowers from Bill Cosby when they presented it right after the citation. So it was, I was
kind of thing? Yeah.
Yes, it was, and I was on cloud nine for quite a few days after it. It was really great.
It's nice to get validations like that. It's not that that's what you need to have to continue, but it certainly doesn't hurt to have some kind of acknowledgement like that, is it?
Well, I think well, I have to be honest and say I had an inner feeling of self-worth, but it really excited the people, all the volunteers affiliated with the organization. And one of the things that Gail will be doing very shortly is putting a nice brochure together that we can send pictures of the citation and of the award, the actual event, to our people around the country, because they share in that. I wouldn't have received that. While I was the person who received it, I received it on behalf of the organization, all the people. And we're going to send all the information out to them so they can share with it.
I imagine by now people who aren't involved in this program but they have children or know of children, they probably want to find out how do they get in touch with people to find out, hey, how do I get my kids in this thing?
We are here every day throughout the year, 24 hours a day. Sometimes we're here 24 hours a day. Sometimes we're here at least 12, 14, 16 hours a day, but many times we're here 6 and 7 days a week, believe it or not. And year-round, and they're certainly welcome to stop in and see us.
This evening, and I'm glad you allowed us into your office and into your, well, I guess this is your other office that we're in right now. And maybe we'll get together again and see some more action of the Safety Town.
I'd be delighted to, anytime. We're delighted that you took time to be with us.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Rob.
Thanks a lot for being here. My name is Rob Bosan, and for my co-host, Pat Sabraco, good evening.